So today I've got another idea that I really like because I don't like color swatching, but this kind of color swatching is fine. And you see, because it combines nature again and art again, and this is my favorite combination, and you can do it with kids, which is super cool as well because many of us have them and it's nice to keep them busy in a way that makes us all happy. So try this on your own or with your kids or with grandkids or however you like it. It's a very simple technique, everybody can do it, but it's so much fun, and it's so much more fun than just color swatching one color by one color by one color with the same strokes. And it also produces quite cool results, and you can make a nice little painting with it later on. So join me and see how you can make color swatches with real leaves. So at first I set everything up. I've got my little handmade journal, some leaves and watercolors and peat pens. Peat pens are markers that are water resistant after they've dried, but you can smudge them with your finger when they're still wet. And as you can see, I'm just applying them to the normal leaf. It was not pressed, it is still fresh, just a normal leaf from a houseplant. When I'm applying, I'm holding my pen more horizontally, so there's a bigger area on the nib, and I'm also not destroying the nib as well. Then I'm just pressing the leaf onto the sheet of paper, and if the whole area was not printed well, I'm reapplying it and try to realign it perfectly. Now I'm gonna spray the leaf with water with my little spray bottle to use up the paint that was left on the leaf. And I'm pressing it down again. You get a much paler, faded version of it. Now I'm taking another leaf. This one is from a lemon balm, and I'm doing the same thing. First I'm applying the pigment with marker, and then I'm re-wetting it with spray bottle, and I'm printing it off a couple of times. As you can see, there's a big difference between the first print that is very crisp and all the veins are clearly visible, and the second print that is wetted with the spray bottle. But that one has its charm as well, in my opinion, and it can be also very useful in some techniques, depending on what you're looking for. It's always nice to experiment and then choose the technique depending on what your idea or project calls for. I'm trying out all my blue peat pens because I'm taking Carla Sohnheim's year-long class, and this month our job is to test all of our blue art supplies and play with them. I got 3 blue peat pens and I'm testing it out with different leaves and different prints. And now I'm gonna test the watercolors in the same way. I'm just applying the paint onto the leaf with a brush and then pressing it down. You don't need a water brush for this, I just used it because it was close by. Instead of spraying it, I just slightly dipped the back side of the leaf into the water so it got wet, and I'm printing that as well. And now that I know that my technique works, I'm doing my swatches on the left side of the page. I'm applying the watercolor with a brush and then pressing it down, and to press down everything firmly, I'm using a scrap piece of paper that I put over. So my fingers don't get dirty and everything else doesn't get dirty. That helps the print to be a bit clearer. You can play around with how much water you put onto your print. The more water, the blurrier the lines, but the color will appear a bit more intense in that case. And I'll show you 2 different versions of this with indigo color. After I'll be done with all my printing, I'll add notes about the color underneath. I never liked color swatching. I've always found it very, very boring, but this is a way to get around it. I have a few different versions of color swatches that I can tolerate, that I find interesting, and this one I just found out by accident, but I really like it. Tell me how you like it in the comments. I know that color swatches with gradients and everything have their own appeal, but for people who are not so into color swatching, this is a good way to turn us around. I repeated everything also with my 3 peat pens so that I have all my blues together. I could also add some leaves colored with color pencils or something else here if I wanted, but I think I'll leave it for now. Now I'm just naming all the swatches here. When you're making this abstract leaf landscape, or however you want to call this, try to use different shades of paint and also different leaves in different sizes. That makes the whole piece much more interesting. You can also use the secondary print, and you can also add some small little details into our forest of little leaves. And here's how the swatches look from up close. They're nothing special, this idea is nothing magical, but if you are not into color swatching but would like to know how each color looks and that you have a reference when you're painting, it's very practical because the blues in the watercolor palette look very much the same and it's easy to mistake one for another, but they look different when you add water to it and paint with it. So this is a nice way to have them all swatched out. And also you see what kind of a print you can get from your art supplies as well. I hope you like it. I hope to see you in the next video. And until then, have fun and bye-bye!